Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Illinois Liquor Control Commission meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is on November 17th, 2021 at 1 p.m. And I am Chair Bird presiding. Secretary Jewis, could you please call the roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Present.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Present.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Present.
Commissioner O'Connell. Commissioner Powell.
Calling you.
Present.
I thought he was calling you.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez.
Present.
And Chair Bird.
Present. Okay, do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of the board meeting held October 13th, 2021?
As amended.
A second. The date, October 13th. Properly moved and seconded. Secretary Jewis, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa. Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Polito Sanchez.
Yes.
And Commissioner Bird.
Yes. Received Executive Director Gardner's report.
Hello, everyone. Unless anyone has any objections, I'm just going to remove my mask to make it a little bit more clear for you to understand me. First, let me go ahead and thank you all for coming, Chairwoman Berg and other board members, the ILCC staff, as well as industry stakeholders. Let me just start off in saying that over the past several months, I have met and will continue to meet with stakeholders, legislators, and other special interest groups to ensure that the ILCC continues to meet the industry's needs. From a report, from an operational standpoint, fiscal, we are wrapping up our audit, and it is anticipated to be completed this month. We have and will continue to provide timely responses to the last few outstanding responses. Both myself and my fiscal manager met with GAMBI, the Governor's Office of Budget and Management, to go over our fiscal year 2023 budget submissions. We presented two scenarios, both a maintenance and a flat budget. Pretty similar. The biggest difference is that the maintenance budget just takes into account possible new expenditures, while the flat budget just maintains our current spending. Although our spending doesn't really fluctuate, our fixed expenses are likely to remain constant. The biggest difference is more in our contractual services, because that changes every year. From an HR standpoint, the Chief of Internal Affairs job is still pending approval by CMS. We hope to get that approved soon so we can go ahead and get that posted and solidified in that position. I still need to hire the administrative service manager position. That job description has been approved. That will be posted depending on a final determination of where the work location will be, whether it's Chicago or Springfield. The 7 liquor control inspector positions, they were posted in September, and right after that, we received notice that one inspector was leaving. Therefore, 8 positions will be filled. Luckily, they happened in close enough proximity that we were able to get a special waiver so that we didn't have to go through the entire posting process again. All the applications, and we received hundreds of them. I want to say over 400 applications for these now 8 positions. They have been submitted to CMS for grading, and once they finish grading them, then we will begin the interview process for them. Just one thing is that we did recently receive notice from another inspector of his intent to retire at the end of this year. So once he does leave, we will be posting that one. So that is another position that is going to be filled soon. Lastly, on HR, we still need more underage compliance assistants. We are continuing our efforts to recruit young people, because unfortunately it's a really finite age range, 18 and 19-year-olds, because of the job. So we are continuing to be creative and think outside the box so we can get the maximum number of candidates throughout the state, because they are needed to do those underage compliance, make sure that retailers aren't serving and selling to minors or underage persons. As far as licensing goes, we had 2 new licensing assistants started this week at the agency, so that's exciting news. And it's good timing because since renewal extension is ending at the end of this year, so it is, you know, meaning that we are getting an increased number of renewal applications. We are encouraging licensees to renew as soon as possible so that we can prevent administrative delays. They have until December 31st, but if you can, imagine if everyone waits until that last day of the year, there's no way licensing will be able to process in real time. There'll be some lag time. So again, we do continue to encourage licensees to renew as soon as possible. And we are regularly sending out communications to them just to remind them and put it fresh in their heads. We continue to be open to the public full time, while we do continue to encourage licensees to apply and renew online, because again, it does allow for faster processing. Our staff remains available to assist walk-ins. Just to put it in perspective, we are averaging approximately 100 walk-ins a month. And since we opened to the public and we're reopened to the public in August, we have assisted over 400 licensees and applicants in person here in our office. And this is just since August. So again, they're happy that we're here and we're happy to provide that assistance. Although we do encourage people to do it online. As you know, there was a Gen Tax upgrade recently, well, a couple of months back. It continues to affect licensees, but we have successfully worked with IT to try to eliminate some of the issues that's come up and some of the redundancy. As of now, the interface does continue to be problematic for the licensees. However, we did create and publish step-by-step instructions on navigating the system, and we continue to be available to field those type of questions. The Class 3 Brewer licenses, which was a newly created class, pursuant to House Bill 2620 from back in the spring legislation, those applications continue to come in and they are increasing on a monthly basis. We have more than double this month than we did last. My licensing manager, she's going to both of those numbers during her report. From a legal perspective, as far as legislation, none of our legislative proposal went forward in veto. So we are currently working to strengthen those proposals for possible advancement during the spring session. Administrative rules, we did finalize the proposed rules for coupons, rebates, and they have been shared with the stakeholders for their review. We do plan on filing it with JCAR in a couple of weeks, which would allow the stakeholders time to communicate directly with us regarding that proposal. Just an FYI, a copy of the proposal was provided to you in your commissioner's packet for your review. We do continue to receive a fair number of legal technical inquiries on a daily basis. We respond to an average of 7 a day. We want to continue to encourage both our licensees and stakeholders to continue to, utilize our advisory opinion request form. These AORs, as we call them, are regularly reviewed by the staff from various divisions to provide guidance regarding licensing issues. Inquiries which come by telephone or email will continue to be, whenever possible, steered towards that AOR process, because it does allow for a more comprehensive response, because we do collaborate as an agency in order to provide those responses. These legal inquiries, as long as my continued and the staff's continued interactions with the industry stakeholders and licensees, it does allow the ILCC to better provide assistance to the industry. We want to continue to be a resource to our licensees. The Liquor Control Act can be a challenge to navigate, and our goal is to provide proactive assistance whenever possible. Just by way of example, just last week alone, we dealt with an issue where we received an inquiry regarding an industry special event. The planned special event, the organizers had not applied for a special event license with our office, so we weren't aware of the event taking place. But however, once we received the inquiry and we received notice of this, proposed event, we quickly analyzed the situation, and legal sent out a communication indicating what the applicable laws and recourse was for the event and the organizers. Let me just say that things did escalate really, really quickly. because the event was scheduled to take place in less than a week. However, and then of course the event organizers were understandably upset because of the last minute notice, because again, we let them know at the 11th hour because we learned at the 11th hour, unfortunately. However, I'm happy to report that I was able to quickly diffuse the situation, and we did provide them the guidance needed for them to properly conduct the event. And our goal continues to be to minimize those type of fires, especially last minute fires. And I really have to say, I have to commend several members of my staff because we worked tirelessly on Veterans Day. And literally, holiday, and it was an event. So we wanted to quickly respond to it, and staff really appreciate them for doing that. As far as enforcement, training for LexiPo has begun. LexiPo is it's a company which provides training bulletins and consulting services to law enforcement agencies, fire departments, and other public service departments, or public safety departments, I should say. We're excited about, getting LexiPo here in our office because it will allow our internal policies to stay up to date with the latest state and federal legislation, as well as case law. And let me just say, as far as enforcement goes, even with the 8 inspectors, which we will be hiring soon, my enforcement division continues to be understaffed. While we will continue to work towards having a fully staffed enforcement team so we can better meet the needs of the industry while better protecting the health and safety of the people of the state of Illinois, because if we don't have the manpower to regularly inspect our over 27,000 licensees that we have in the state of Illinois, we simply can't be as effective as we quite frankly need to be. So that's going to continue to be a push for me in enforcement. We are going to be working to bulk up enforcement because it's really needed. As far as industry education goes, our third quarter newsletter is now available. It went out via email. It's also available on our website. We look forward to publishing our fourth quarter newsletter soon. As far as BASSET licenses goes, they continue to be timely issued. Over 71,000 have been issued year to date. And we continue to provide industry education at community events and industry conferences. Educational campaigns on topics such as over-serving, licensing basics, inspections, etc., are currently being created and hopefully will be available on our website. So we are looking forward to that. 2022, begin hearing presentations from health and safety organizations. And we are currently in the process of finalizing and issuing those invites. So that's going to be a new change for next year. And that concludes my executive director's report.
Thank you, Director Gardners. Any board members have a question or comment for her? I have a question.
Sure.
Lisa, you referenced that you've been getting a lot of legal inquiries.
Yes.
More than normal? More than in the past?
That I can't really answer. Let's see, who would know the answer to that? Dean, because I know that you oversee the AR process. Do you think that the numbers have increased or they're pretty standard?
I think they're pretty standard.
Oh,
okay.
It's probably decreased because it's, when we first had COVID, we did have an increase in terms of like how do we navigate in relation to COVID, which prompted the FAQs, but it's steady now. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like you're getting a lot of inquiries that you haven't in the past due to COVID because maybe they don't have legal representation or they're reaching out.
Yeah, it's honestly, it comes from a plethora of people. So it comes sometimes directly from the licensees or the applicants, or it comes from, we get a fair number from attorneys themselves. And we also get them from organizations. So it's some of everyone. So, yeah.
So you mentioned that you are understaffed in enforcement.
That's correct.
And I just want to make sure that both of your budgets, that staff is included in there for those who are, there's no issue.
As far as our proposed budget. So yes, we do have the budget to try to maximize my org chart. That is one of my goals, is to grow the agency. And it's been told to me multiple times at this point that I can't grow until I actually fill all the positions that I already have slated. So I'm in the process of making sure that all those positions can get field. So then at that point, we can go back and say, now that we're fully staffed based upon what has been slotted from us previously, now we need more bodies so that we can grow. So I'm kind of in the infancy stage of that because the hiring process with the state, unfortunately, tends to be a timely process, unfortunately. It's taking at least 4 to 6 months from the moment that we identify that we need it to the approval of the job description to it actually being posted and interviewed and hired. Just to put it in perspective, the 2 licensing assistants that we hired, that just started this week, we started that process over the summer. And they just started November 16th. So.
When you say you're understaffed, is it fair to say that that falls into 2 buckets then? The first one being the positions that you've been approved for, but aren't necessarily staffed yet. And then there's like a second bucket of, you know that you need additional people above and beyond what's already slated.
Let me make sure I understand your question. You're asking me when I say that we're understaffed, am I talking about my current openings under my current org chart versus anticipated growth? Am I?
So those are the 2 buckets. So when you say understaffed, are you referring to both?
I'm referring to both, honestly. I mean, just to put in perspective, like I said, we have 27,000 licensees in the state of Illinois. I have about 23 enforcement agents. Illinois is a big state.
No, and I understand.
Yeah.
That. I just wanted to understand so even if you were to fill out your position,
it's still going to be.
You would still be.
In my opinion, yes, we're still going to be overstaffed. And again, just to put it in perspective, I recently attended a conference in which I had the opportunity to listen to the gaming director speak. And it was really interesting because gaming has overlap with liquor, because in order to have a gaming license, you have to have a liquor license. So I learned that they have approximately 7,000 licensees, but they have 65 enforcement agents. We have 27,000, only 23 to 25, depending, because we just lost one and one is retiring. So what you see, and that's just gaming versus alcohol, not to say that they should have less, but that just puts it in perspective that we need more. We need more bodies. We need more men on the street.
And did you, based on that, did you find a way to collaborate? Or did you get some, best practices from them?
I have a meeting set up with the director of gaming right now. Yes, we are going to be working together and collaborate so that we can, like the way I put it to him is that I want us to be a resource for one another, So yes, I'm actively working on that right now to find out the whys. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay.
No, I just want to echo the sentiment of Director Gardner, that I totally can't believe that enforcement is so low staffed, and it has been. The strategic plan that we filed last year, you could clearly see that on the documents that we received, and I really am happy that you are addressing that problem. As you said, we have that many licenses without inspections.
Yeah.
First off, and also thank you to the staff who did work on Veterans Day to fix this problem. Yeah.
Yes.
The special events permit that wasn't.
we got it done, and I really have to give my hat off to my licensing and legal team, because we definitely worked tirelessly that day. And I even got the Liquor Commission for the City of Chicago to work on her day off to issue it. She signed off on it on her day off, and I was able to get that done as well, because I didn't want them to have to wait until the next business day, because I understood why they were upset and why it escalated the way it did. But not to focus on the whys, I was trying to focus on the what, and what was needed was them to get the proper license for them to legally conduct their event, which is what we were able to assist them to do.
And you said it was an industry event, correct?
It was an event that was done by one of the industry organizers, one of the organizations. Yes. Yep.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Item number 4, receive the division reports. We'll begin with Les Peterson from Enforcement.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
A little bit was covered, but I will expound just a little bit on with the director, some of the comments. remember too, we have people that are retired. We have one guy leaving the Southern Division. We have 3 missing in Cook County due to transfers and different things like that. So it's a natural turnover. I'm just very pleased to say that we have 8 in the hopper, and we're getting close to getting that back up to the numbers that we should be. During October, we conducted 787 inspections, found 184 violations for October. Additionally, 68 warnings were issued during that time. The complaints, 74 complaints, which come in the normal fashion. That number is up, I think, by 14 from last month. And I think the holiday season, the special events, and the different types of things that are occurring, bring that a little bit forward. We have, on the online marketplace, there was 412 posts that were reported, and we follow up on the removal. We make sure they're removed. There was 412 removed from Craigslist, 3 from Facebook Marketplace, and 5 posts from OfferUp. And once again, that initiative, that effort, I think makes a huge difference on with alcohol going into the hands of minors and that type of thing, or improperly. The investigations, I only had 1 for the month, only because, quite frankly, we've been busier than normal due to a little bit less manpower. So we're really anxious. In the application, there was CMS, so it's out of our hands. We're waiting for that to happen. But the one special agent was notified by a local PD that an unlicensed business was operating and selling alcohol. They worked with the police department, found out it to be true. We issued a C&D, a cease and desist. And I think that one's important because the director mentioned 27,500 licenses. There's also a lot, that's a mathematical term, but there's a lot of unlicensed businesses that are just simply have no license, have no reason to be doing what they're doing. We, the enforcement division, have the authority to investigate those things. We have a couple in the hopper that we're dealing with right now. So to say that, there's 27.5, I don't even want to venture to guess how many unlicensed that need to be investigated, need to be stopped from occurring. No different than what we're doing with Craigslist and Facebook and that type of a thing. The firm and friendly reminder that that was the report.
So, Les, thank you. I would assume it's, you said you're busier than you have been before. So, last month, as you recall, the Illinois Restaurant Association did a presentation on
Yes.
just the challenges they're facing. So then, am I to assume that even though some restaurants have not reopened and they've closed, you still have the demands on the enforcement?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And once again, I'm going to stress that situation of saying that there's unlicensed places. That's what that was, and I brought that in highlight because we get quite a bit of that, more than we should. And we know of cases that we're working on currently trying to put a stop to it or put a dent into it. Yes, sir.
Anyone else have questions?
Not to put any more pressure on you.
I don't feel
I'm
pressure.
curious, since these laws were signed last month, these new laws that pertain to our industry, have you got any examples of things that have been coming up you would need to address with these new laws that just came into our industry?
I've been a policeman my entire adult life, since I was 21. And every year we wait to see the new changes and the new laws, and we're like, wow, look at all the things that have happened. And I find it absolutely remarkable how fast changing this industry is, the liquor control industry is. It really is. It's absolutely amazing how fast things change and how the laws are interpreted, et cetera, et cetera. So there's nothing that stands out, nothing that's major, nothing that we can't deal with. I always say, I don't make the laws, I simply do the enforcement part of that. But smooth as silk is my best answer. Any other? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, up next, Michelle Flag, Industry Education.
Unfortunately, Michelle was unable to attend today, so I will be giving her report in her absence. One moment. And I'm gonna apologize in advance, not doing as good a job as her. All right, let's see, statistics, for the most recent month, which is September 2021, as far as social media views, we've had 138 YouTube hits, 727 Twitter hits, and I might get this terminology wrong, so I'm going to apologize in advance. 2,030 Facebook interactions, 198 on Instagram, and 33 on LinkedIn. We continued operations and responding to Bassett licenses. The number of people trained in September were just over 6,500, which is a decrease of 1,093 from the previous month of August, which hit 7,607 people trained. Like I said in my report, the total number of trained for the year 2021 to date is 62,480, and the total in Bassett lookups are 250,896. The industry education had booths at the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists community event, as well as the Illinois Municipal League Conference and the Illinois Licensed Beverage Association Convention. Our Bassett manager, Lee Rupus, he attended and staffed the ILCC booth at both events. Let's see, as far as social media engagement and posting plan, extensions for the licensees into December 2021. Email blasts are going out monthly from now, and it will continue until that date. Hispanic Heritage Month, Back to Business grant sponsors by DCEO, Red Ribbon Week, College Town Summit registration, MyTax Illinois updates specific to ILC licensees. Those are things that were published to our social media website. My industry education manager continues to attend the public information officer meetings every week with other PIOs from state agencies, and they do submit the ILCC's upcoming week of events. And the College Town Summit, which took place October 21st, that agenda was shared with them as well. As far as regional mitigations, our regions are now in the last phase of Restore Illinois, phase 5. However, the statewide indoor mask mandate continues. Executive Order 20 addresses mask requirements for the state and vaccination requirements, and Executive Order number 15 addresses mask requirements from K-12 schools. This is going to impact any in-person presentations given at any Illinois schools. As far as the industry education events, like I said, October 21st, the College Town Summit, which was a virtual event, took place. October 23rd to the 31st was Red Ribbon Week. October 28th was the Human Trafficking Training, which was a Bassett audience. That was also virtual. And in December, we're going to have the National Impaired Driving Prevention Month. As far as the third quarter newsletter topics, biggest ones, the office reopened to the public August 2nd, the extension of the license renewal dates, the MyTax Illinois enhancements, which is that GenTax upgrade that I mentioned, the Public Act 102-0442, which is the House Bill 2620 updates, transferring alcoholic liquor, over serving, College Town Summit, College Parents Guide, and operating procedures stem from Bassett training, etc. We did update our ILCC forms and applications to comply with House Bill 2620. And those updated forms and applications, they can be found on our forms and applications tab. The request for transfer of alcoholic liquor forms also has been added to the forms and applications tab. And let me just pause for a moment to say that we are currently revamping our website. It is not the most user-friendly. Information is all over the place, so we're trying to condense it so that, for example, the FAQs, when we recently went through it, there was three separate FAQs links. They all went to three separate lists of FAQs. That's inefficient and unacceptable. So we're working on, one, correcting the issues that we have currently identified, and we are going to be updating the website in its entirety in the beginning of the year. So we look forward to having a new website to present to everyone, because again, we're living in the digital age, and going to the website is a lot of people's first, form of contact with any organization, business, or agency. As far as 2021 initiatives, educational campaigns, we met with enforcement to review a list of training guide topics. And there was about 13 identified, including, and this is just, me pointing out a few in the interest of time: identifying overserved customers, licensing basics, animated how-to videos for each license type, invoices, contaminated liquor purchased at retail, transfer of ownership, signage related to human trafficking, etc. So that's some of the things that we are currently working with enforcement to get some trainings on the website and videos whenever possible, because people like interactive things, and sometimes it's easier to watch a video than actually read something that may be lengthy. And let me make sure I'm not missing anything. And today, just, we, like I mentioned before, the Bassett presenters are going to be Carlos Morales and Thomas Roberts. There's two of our Bassett trainers, and we look forward to hearing them present today. Thank you. And that ends Ed's report.
Any comments or questions from the board?
And Lisa, and with your future list, which many it sounds like, I made this request before. I'd like to make it again.
Sure.
Our quarterly newsletter is a great communication tool. And if I interpret who gets it now, it's the owners of the licenses, on the licenses, plus some key people in the industry. Could we extend it to the Bassett people without much of an expense? Those are the people that handle the daily transactions. Those are the ones that need to be updated. And unfortunately, the owners sometimes do not share it like they should. I just think if it's possible, I'd like to request it again, possibly the fourth.
I don't see why that should be an issue, to be perfectly honest. I'm not 100% certain what it says right now, but if it doesn't have a link on the website that says to sign up for the newsletter, enter your email there, we can easily add it. And we should have all the email addresses for every Bassett trainee, and because we do submit their Bassett certificates electronically, I believe, and I don't see why we can't also include a copy of that quarterly newsletter with that and add them to the list. So I will make a note of that and ensure that going forward that happens.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Legal report. The whole farm map.
Good afternoon, Chair. Commissioners. We had a productive month, I think. As the director mentioned, we will be submitting a coupon rule to JCAR shortly. A couple weeks probably. We'll also be posting that and our statement about that rule on the website soon. Legal cases, we have managed to get rid of a good number of those. Avi's been busy over the past month. We had a sale of alcohol to minor settlement conference down in Springfield 3 weeks ago and got rid of a lot of the SAM cases there. We currently have 60 pre-disciplinary cases for actually cases for which are outstanding pre-disciplinary conference requests. We're going to continue to whittle away at those. We have gotten rid of a lot of a lot of cases, but obviously they just continue to grow, especially the appeals. We currently have 30 appeals pending. We got 5 new cases just recently. We have conducted 3 hearings last month that we'll be deliberating about today. And we also have a couple cases in which final orders were issued, 20 APP 20 and 20 APP 21. Both of those cases, we did not get petition for rehearing, so those are actually now over as well. We continue to help with the advisory opinion requests. And as Dean said, or as the director said, we're getting the sort of a normal amount of those. We have a number of matters under review, administrative review in the circuit court. That really hasn't changed at all from last time we met. And we responded to 13 Freedom of Information Act requests. We also got word that there is a new case to replace the Levemoff case, which was dismissed some months ago. That is full pull wines versus Berg. We have not actually been served with a complaint in that matter yet, though, although it seems that it was filed. We have a number of hearings coming up in the next couple of months, and we continue to set matters for hearing as they become ready for that. Mainly that has to do with people getting the records filed with us and trying to decide whether these are going to be de novo hearings in some cases or all be heard on the record. And that is our legal report for this month.
Thank you, Noel. Does any board member have any questions or comments for Noel?
First, I want to thank you for the additional detail in the legal report. Appreciate that.
Sure.
And secondly, on the freedom of information, I saw one of them was asking about employee information, and that was denied. What kind of employee information would the media be?
No, I believe inquiry concerning whether employees had been vaccinated for COVID or whether we were insisting that people get vaccinated, that sort of thing. Avi could tell you more of the particulars about that one.
Anyone else?
Well,
Thank you, Noel. That concludes.
thank you.
Thank you. Licensing report. Shaka Mara.
Good afternoon, Chair Berg, Commissioners. Okay, I get to share some good news, I hope so, today. 98% of our licensees have been renewing online. That is pretty consistent. We're happy to report that number is remaining consistent. Director Gardner mentioned the 400 walk-ins that we've assisted in our Chicago and Springfield offices. Majority of those walk-ins, once again, are new applicants or special event licensees. But the 98% of our current licensees are continuing to renew online. So we have very few licensees that are submitting their applications in person. So we like to see that trend continue. Wanted to touch base on special events really quickly. Now we're in the fall winter season. And as expected, those numbers have dropped. We had, in September, we issued 320 special events, and in October, we had 155. That's pretty consistent with past years. And sometimes it picks up in the winter months. There are some winter festivals that occur, but we anticipate the numbers to increase early spring of next year. Wanted to also touch base on the website Director Gardner mentioned. some enhancements that we're looking to make to the website. In the meantime, we're trying to figure out some quick fixes based on some of the questions we've been getting from our licensees. Our licensees, there's a lot of questions, technical assistance that they need in renewing their license online, and I'll touch base on that in a minute. But they were having a hard time finding the online renewal instructions on our website. We had a ribbon in the center, if you probably have seen it, with arrows. A lot of the users were not, it was hard for them to navigate that ribbon. It would change very frequently. So what we decided to do is we have icons on there so they can click on the icons. And you'll notice on the website it says Renew Liquor License Online My Tax. That's made a significant change. Before, licensees were calling us, we know you have instructions, where are they on the website? Now they can see them right away. So we implemented V12, new software upgrade. And we were getting a lot of feedback from our licensees requiring a lot of technical assistance. They were logging in, didn't know where to go. Even though we sent them the detailed instructions, they were available on our website. If they just wanted to log in, they weren't able to navigate through. There was a section, the first instruction step was manage payment and returns. That's tax language. They don't understand that. So we changed it to license renewal. As soon as we did that, we worked with our IT programmers and our contractors. That was implemented late on Friday. This new process is available to our licensees. We've saved them 2 to 3 additional steps. We've streamlined it. Once they log in, now they will see Renew Liquor License Online. They'll see that, sends them right to the renewal link. Instead of managing payment and returns, they also had to select another link. So that was our goal, to try to streamline that. It's made a significant change for our division. We also have seen an increase in the number of Class 3 Brewers applications. Last month I reported we had about 6 pending in inventory. As of today, we have 16. These have all been reviewed. They've all been posted on our website. These are not licenses that can be issued right away if the licensee is asking for self-distribution. There's a 45-day posting requirement. So we have to prepare the documents and post them on our website for 45 days. So once again, that number increased significantly from our last meeting where I reported we had approximately 6. We're at 16 right now, and they're continuing to come in. And the goal is to try to get these reviewed and uploaded to our website as soon as possible. Also wanted to touch base on our new hires. Very excited. We have 2 new team members. I had 7 licensing assistants. I'm down to 3 right now. With the 2 new hires, we're back to 5. So I'm very excited. They just started yesterday. There's going to be a transition period with training, which is understandable. But day 2 so far, I have them working on online renewals. So I'm very excited. Welcome, Chiquita McGee and Mr. Alejandro Torres. So I'm very excited to work with our new team members. Now, one item that I do want to stress the importance of is the license renewal extensions that are expiring at the end of December. We sent out an email on November 4th reminding all licensees to renew online. November 11th, we sent another email. We also included the online renewal instructions, not only the link to My Tax, but the instructions as well. When we sent this last email out, I had, on average, our inventory may look like 100 pending online renewals. We had 600. So that's very positive. But I also, I know we have some industry members here representing the industry, and they're our partners, and I really would like their assistance and their help in getting the word out as well, to let their clients know, let their members know that this license renewal extension is valid until 12/31 of 2021. The licensee should not wait till the last minute to renew and to try to get those renewals in as soon as possible. And we have some licensees that are behind two licensing periods that have to pay for 2 years. So, once again, we'll continue to, do what we need to do on our end and turning these around quickly, getting them renewed. But, I think also in December, we're going to send 2 emails out the first week in December and another one in the middle of December. You log on to our website. There's a reminder right in the center there to remind our licensees to renew on or, preferably before 12/31 of 2021. And that concludes my report. Chair, Commissioners, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Commissioner, I have a question.
Yes,
I don't
yes,
know if
Commissioner.
it's to you, Director Gardner, but I want to ask about the website.
Sure.
So is this something that we do inside the commission? Is this something that the state controls, or are there outside people that could assist?
Yeah, it's controlled by, if I'm not mistaken, Do It, which is the agency that handles all the IT, manages all the IT information for the state of Illinois. Recently, they're working with other agencies to update their websites. Recently, I just noticed the Illinois Department of Revenue, they went through a significant change. Do It, they work with Do It to get some upgrades made on their website, but definitely it would be through the IT division under the state of Illinois, Do It. And I can add to that.
Apparently the websites get overhauled every so many years within the agency, and we're grossly overdue for that overhaul. And that came about because I was talking to my IT manager supervisor who is, employed in Do It. And I was expressing to her some of my frustrations with the website, and she did some research and she came back that we are overdue for that overhaul, which is why we're getting that new website. We are on that list. As soon as they get to us, it's gonna happen. So we anticipate it by the beginning of the year, hopefully.
So there isn't going to be an RFP issued on this? It's not something that
No.
you're working with the outside
No.
entity? It's now
Yes.
not sourced.
Yeah.
From the information that I have, yes, that's right.
I recall 6 years ago was
Yeah.
around the time that it was updated.
Okay.
That about right, the website?
That's before my time,
It's
so I'm not
right.
100%
I think
Yeah.
it was around
Yeah.
that time, and at that time, we had used an outside agency to
Really?
update the site, yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that I hope that we consider is, maybe having people reimagine it and think through how to make it user friendly. If you think about, you got 65,000 people you talked about, we've got a lot of bandwidth. And the first place that they will land is at our website.
Agreed.
And so it shouldn't feel like a government website. It should feel like an engine, and so,
Agreed.
I think oftentimes we sit in these spaces and, and we're applying it for people, we think it's okay. It really should be dynamic. And so I'm hoping you all spend a lot of time reimagining it.
And I completely agree with you, Commissioner. And let me just say that I welcome any and all feedback on the website. If anyone here that's present, someone who may not be present but listens to this recording in the future, if you check out our website and you have any questions, input, advice, and you want to give it to us, please go ahead and do that. And that, of course, goes to all of you as well, because I completely agree with you. But it is our representation, and it should be a machine, well-oiled machine.
So I think that's part of this. One of the things that I loved about your presentation right now is that you made that call to the industry members. And I just wonder if there's an opportunity to make that a recurring theme, because what happened on Veterans Day could have been avoided. And we know that not everything's going to be avoided 100%, but I hope that the industry members hear this, the burden that happens here, and how it ultimately ends up impacting the people that we are serving. So I just think if we're a little bit more active at each meeting and say, like, this is our ask. I mean, we have an opportunity here for public comment, right? We ask for feedback from our industry members. I think that it's fair, this truly is a partnership, that, your comments are welcome by them as well. I saw people taking minutes.
Gisaka,
Yeah.
I can see that you're doing as much as you possibly can to get these licenses renewed. If I do the math correctly, am I right in saying that 40% of our licensees and customers have not renewed yet?
You know, the number, right now, I would say, I feel more comfortable saying close to 30% have not renewed. Now, out of that 30%, you know, we don't know what percentage are closed or are not
Right.
going to renew. So that's still, you know, hard for us to determine that exact number. It was good to see the 600 renewals we received in the last few days. I mean, we haven't had those numbers in a very long time. So I'm glad that the word is getting out, but we got to continue to get that word out, because come, you know, the 1st of January, we're gonna, these licenses are expired. The late fees will take into effect. It's a $25 late fee. And these businesses are not going to be able to sell alcohol or purchase alcohol. And that'll impact all 3 tiers of our industry: the distribution tier, because they can't buy alcohol, you know, the manufacturing tier. I mean, it can affect quite a few licensees. So we want to make sure that we encourage our licensees to try to, you know, get you know, renew as soon as possible.
Will you be increasing the frequency of the
Yeah, we did it in November, this past month. What we tested, we sent out renewal reminder on the November 4th and November 11th. We're also, I think we're going to do the same thing in December, first week in December, second week in December. We did have some licensees call and say, I already renewed, because we're sending it to everybody, basically. We had a few licensees call, I think I renewed, I'm not sure, can you check? Or I got this email, I renewed my license already, that's fine, you know, just ignore it. But we are sending it out to our whole, the whole email list that we have of licensing.
Knowing that there are thousands that need to renew, and they obviously are waiting until the last minute, and we surely can't cancel Christmas and New Year's. Is there anything outside the box that we might consider, like giving we don't usually reward procrastinators, but if you gave them a break on the price, if they renew by January 1?
Yeah. I don't think we can do that because the price is based on legislation. That fee is in legislation. The only thing we were able to do is, at the time, was, you know, waive the late fees. We were able to do that because of the renewal extension. I think it's in the legislation with the languages where we can, you know, remove the late fees. But, you know, right now it'd be very difficult. I don't see how we can lower those fees this time.
I have a suggestion to Shaka and to Commissioner Gibbons' point. I know you're doing everything you can. The whole team is. What about, is it possible, since you're using an internal source for the website, is it possible to build the case that this is really important that we at least add some element? Is it possible to incorporate, I don't know if the website has the capacity to accept video? Can you do a quick video? Can you do something that's verbal real quick? That a trailer, something, and then it gets emailed to your database. So this way they're getting something different, which is going to get their attention. To my fellow commissioner's point as well, dynamic. And maybe there's a way to do something digital, because what I'm finding with websites is the more you tell a story, the more you do digital, the more you do video, the more you're engaging.
Yeah, no, don't.
So
That's a
maybe
good
since
point.
you're doing it internally, you're not going through an external source, you might be able to say, can we do it? Can we do this? Can we incorporate something that's interactive, that's different than we've sent them before?
No, that's a great idea, you know, and we really, you know, we're open to whatever ideas, and, you know, anyone has, you know, because we're getting down to the wire. And, you know, hopefully we're getting the message across, and we have some, you know, industry members here that are partners, and hopefully they can get, you know, they'll be able to communicate to their members as well. reminders and, put it on their websites, for example. So, hopefully, we'll be able to, get these renewals in, before December 31st of 21. And as far as staffing goes, we're going to allocate all the resources that we have to ensure that we can get as much as we can done. The biggest concern is getting, 5,000 in, on that, last minute. But, we're working diligently to figure out ways to make sure that we're ready for this as well.
I just wanted to chime in. I'm looking at the website. So when it pops up, the first big boxes says license renewal extension will expire December 31st.
Correct.
So they've got a notice there. You're going to send 4 different emails to them.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, you bring a horse to the water, but you can't make him drink sometimes.
Right.
So
And
I think
there's
a little bit of responsibility to the licensees holder. To do what they need to do to get their license.
Yeah. Correct. And
Just my personal.
yeah. And one thing I will say what I've seen, our agents, we're also utilizing our enforcement agents when they're going out to, visit these locations. They're noticing, okay, you got to make sure you renew your license. It's going to expire. So our agents are out there, but also a lot of the distributors, they're delivering product to these locations. They're there maybe once a week, twice a week. They are, letting the licensees know. These licenses are expiring, make sure your delivery in December may be impacted if or January may be impacted if you don't have your license as well. So we've also seen that too. But yes, we'll all work together and hopefully we have some positive news for next month. I'll have those numbers. We'll have some higher numbers for you and I'll be able to report that we have quite a few of our licensees catching up on those renewals. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, item number 5, excuse me, license receives data industry report. Please welcome the Bassett trainers. First, we have Mr. Thomas Robertson to speak to us today. Thank you.
We both feel very honored to be among the commission. Thank you for inviting us out. Again, my name is Thomas Robertson. You don't mind if I lift down this a little bit? If I need to come up, let me know, please. Make sure we get a little interest. I am a Bassett trainer with the Illinois Liquor Control Commission since 2002, so about 22-year anniversary coming up. Trained more than 2,000 participants. We train under Code 235. Those laws in Illinois go into the sale and service of alcohol, and that is by the sellers and service. That could be a bartender, that could be the owner, that could be anyone that's going to be given a license. So we follow training and educating those who are about to get the liquor license. It's really helped us since 2015. It's become mandatory state. That means before anyone gets a license, of course, they have to meet us. We do have a list that's provided by Lee Rupus in the Bassett area, which all of the Bassett licensees are listed. There is some constraints to it because, for one, we are all just like the licensees. We renew our license every year and we're responsible for our own operational costs. And so some of the licensees, I say it's 210 of us, maybe about 100 are just licensed by their particular companies just to do Bassett training. They do it for no one else. And so what happens when you need Bassett training, you go to the license, you have to do a little shopping, get a little call and pricing, find out what the little pricings and different mumbo jumbo that may go on, and they track to you the meal call us. I found that to call it a constraint because I think that this program could use a lot of funding just to help us to meet operational costs so we can get out. I'm a field kind of agent in terms, that means I'm an independent trainer. I go out to location. So I kind of make it easier for the on-premise and off-premise participants that need the training. Our programs are both part of me and Carlos and the rest of the trainers. We're mandated about 4 hours. So that includes classroom training for the most part. That's interactive discussion, books that go into that train participants in the responsible sale and service of alcohol. Two things that are against the law in Illinois. It's against the law to serve and sell alcohol to anyone who is visibly intoxicated, anyone who's under the age of 21, and then it's also required that we intervene to prevent over-intoxication in our customers and making sure, of course, that we check IDs. So we go into that quite in depth. Our content may be different depending on the Bassett trainer. My content is provided by Health Communications, which is also known throughout the United States called TIPS. We do both on-premise training, we do off-premise training, and we also have a program called University TIPS, where we go out to colleges and we educate the students and license them to, if they're serving a function where someone is over the age of 21, that's fine. But if they find that alcohol is illegally in the college campus, which it will be, how to deal with those situations. After they successfully complete the 4-hour course, they're issued their BASSET license electronically, and then also, depending on our content, in the case of mine, they issued a 3-year national card, which is from the TIPS organization. I deliver those in person, and Lee Rupus and his crew actually mails it out to the participants with a link so they can go online and reprint their BASSET cards. I found it very enjoyable over the years, but even before pre-COVID, I think one of the major shifts, I think that as trainers that we see the industry needs support in, is that the cannabis legalization has posed a lot of challenges. For one, it's hard to, you can gauge alcohol by the number of drinks you serve and the behaviors. But when you have someone who legally is allowed because of medical purposes or whatever it may be to take cannabis, and then they can come into a licensed establishment, drink alcohol, those interactions we can't control. And what I'm noticing personally, I work in the hospitality industry and the hotel industry, I'm noticing a lot of violent confrontations that are coming up because people's impairment is already drawn, and we can't be able to immediately gauge that. That's just the cannabis alone. Then there are safety issues. There are a lot of uprisings going on within the city and the state, various reasons, a lot of criminal activity. It's becoming very hard and challenging for the service to deal with that. So we're looking at creative ways that we can implement those portions in our programs. Particularly in the state of Illinois, I have a quick a cheat sheet on Code 235. I pretty much cover anything you need to know as a seller and server of alcohol. Everything from happy hour, everything from what can go on in a home when alcohol is being consumed. And just one little note, I thought I wanted to go on to that. Host liability. So Illinois has now become a social host state. Before, we couldn't dictate what goes on in your private home or in your hotel room. Now, when it comes to the consumption of alcohol, yes, we can. You know, and the municipality can. We educate hotels, restaurants, bars, and even people in their own individual homes, how to handle those situations where someone under the age of 21 is consuming alcohol in your presence and what goes on to that. But again, as I was listening to many of the presentations before we came aboard, I think that I would love that we can get a little bit more link with the inspectors. We kind of see what they're doing because they kind of lead the way. Sometimes we're called out because someone needs to get their liquor license renewed, and we're called out to do the training. Unfortunately, sometimes we're called out because someone has infracted a violation. Either they've served someone under the age of 21 or they overserved, and we called out in that particular bad situation. So the more that we can find out more deeper requirements that's needed in a certain jurisdiction, because that's also a constraint. The jurisdictions from literally from city to city, from Chicago to Rosemont differ so much. So we try to keep ourselves well educated, what's required in Rosemont, what's required in River Grove, what's required in Chicago. I think Chicago is doing a good job at within those constraints. I heard too the special licenses, and I also want to put them in the same category as Grubhub, DoorDash. It would really be great if those who deliver alcohol they be required to go to some sort of responsible alcohol service training and not just leave it on the licensee. If they're delivering for Gibson Steakhouse, of course, Gibson's is responsible that when their liquor gets delivered, it's getting delivered to someone at the age of 21. But I think, and maybe I'm asking too much here to go through legislation, but if there's anything pending locally, maybe best practices that comes through the websites, I think we can engage that more because those are some of the challenges that I see, you know, being out in the field. I'm a strong field person. I'm sure Carlos is going to attest to that. We're seeing a lot, and I think those dangers can yet be avoided. But we're very grateful that you made this a mandatory state. Back in 2015, I was part of the crew that kicked off the complimentary BASSET class, and we went out and spoke to maybe 400 or 500 individuals, and we have every year there's a new generation of bartenders and servers coming up. I mentor them alone in my own operation. I'm at the Waldorf Astoria, and a number of new young ones, and they don't have a clue on how to recognize the effects of alcohol, not just even growing up. They're just old enough to serve and sell. So there's going to be a constant refresh. And now that we're a mandatory state, we'll be constantly keeping up to date with whatever new changes that come about, and we're making sure that we educate those participants that do that. But again, getting these training courses done, again, it's not that easy because for one, most of the trainers, the 210 of us with 27,000 licensees, we don't have enough of us to get around yet. And again, everything is purely operational costs is our responsibility. Some don't find it feasible to continue to be a Bassett trainer. So we hope when we get to that day where we get some sort of funding or help within our operational costs, such as just the books and the materials for participants, we can lower our costs to them and we can get out and do more, which makes it affordable and quicker for them to link on to those field trainers that get out. So again, I want to thank you for me being able to come out. If there's any questions, I think I talked enough. Thank you.
A lot of great information.
Thank you.
I just want to say that
Yeah.
I'm really sorry,
That's okay.
because I really appreciate your suggestions, and I don't, I want to make sure that that they're heard by the right people, especially when we talk about, you know, cocktails to go, and I remember, right, when there was the legislation was pending on that, and we were talking about the concerns, and we were talking about not enough data to be able to, at the time, again, someone said this earlier, right? Like Illinois is a really big state in my community. Maybe cocktails to go isn't a big deal, but in other communities it is. So I just want to make sure that all of your suggestions are heard, especially since you're in the field and that they're gathered. I don't know if like we need a task force or something to make sure that all the right data is being gathered so that when this comes around, in the next couple of years, we have actually assess and the state.
Yeah, I want to thank you for that. Just to close out, we're looked at as consultants a lot. I get more calls than coming out to actually conduct the training. Thomas, what do we do here? What do we do there? And I pretty much now know who. I have a lot of resources from the Bassett organization, but even locally, and every city differs. We know where to send. So any help with flooding the trainers with information, don't stop. The more we get, the more better. We almost feel like lawyers because we're giving so much consulting in terms of the industry. We're safe be. Thank you so much.
Carlos, are you going to speak also?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, my name is Carlos Morales. I think I'm the oldest of all the instructors, I'm assuming,
Senior.
in the room. Oh, well, not quite there yet. But can I take this down? If you don't mind? I've been vaccinated. I got the booster already. Is that okay? Yeah?
We don't make that decision. It's up to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I've been an instructor for the Illinois Liquor Control Commission for approximately about 24 years now. I started it when the first Bassett training program was actually initialized back in 1997, I think. It was created by Tom Locascio, one of the instructors who actually designed the program. And I followed through with, his customers per se. Really cool program. Everybody loves it. Once they take it, they love it. Once they do it on site, meaning with an instructor, then there's a difference. Obviously, because we deal, and I'm pretty sure Tom knows this, we deal with the local ordinances of every city and every village, which is not provided in online classes. It's a big differences of being an instructor on site and taking a class online, and everybody knows that from the standpoint of education. Okay, so we cover basically everything from responsibility in selling alcoholic beverages to checking IDs to basically how to unfold fake IDs. We present those. Usually takes about 4 hours to do the training, and then everybody gets certified the day off, and then the state actually sends the certificate online, via mail, obviously. Since 1998, since I started doing the program, I've seen an increase in a need for people to actually do on-site classes with major corporations. I'm talking about customers from Walmart to Sam's Club to Target to whoever, and they do recognize the fact that their people have to be trained. Prior to the pandemic, we used to do quite a bit. We used to be 7 days a class per week. When the pandemic took place, that number went down substantially, approximately 60%. So in reality, we did, because we came to a stop for about 6 months with the Bassett training. So we took the route of doing it, via Zoom, that type of thing. But I personally didn't like them. I love to teach my classes on site, learn who's in the class. And obviously because of, questions that needs to be asked during the classes, we can answer them right then and there. We trained, I will say approximately about 400 to 450 corporate stores in the local mom and pops, bars and restaurants. Everybody from the multicultural markets all the way up to major corporations. So we do a really good class, very entertaining from the standpoint. We actually have done train to trainer, local police stations, major corporations and so forth, and so on to expand the viability of the program. And, we keep on doing it. Been doing it for 24 years. I come from the industry. I used to be in the corporate world for many, many years. And decided to do this because I found a need to actually train folks, and the Bassett training is actually being, my leading basically. Approximately about 24 years now. So Lee Rupas has been a very good instrument in terms of, helping us to, establish certain guidelines and policies. I do believe that there's some need for improvement right now because of COVID and because of the current situation with understaffed at retail levels. That number of training has basically, not the amount of trainings, but the amount of people that we basically train has actually come down a little bit since the pandemic. So, and there will be a great way to actually promote the program and reestablish it if in any way the website can actually create or develop a tool where you can actually notify the folks that the Bassett certificates are actually expired. Okay, we don't have that. So we basically, we have to follow up ourselves, making all the phone calls and follow up with every single retailer out there to make sure that they actually know that their employees actually passed the certification came to expired. Other than that, the program actually has been a success in the state of Illinois. Actually served as a model to other states, including Minnesota and Indiana and Wisconsin. And we have actually gotten calls from Wisconsin and Indiana to participate in some of the summits and Bassett trainings. Actually, they call them completely different programs, but to participate in some of the states with the model that we actually designed here in Illinois. So it's a really, really, really good program. With that, I will take some questions. I think Tom covered some of the stuff that I actually was going to mention to you.
You brought up a very good point about some of the training is going to expire, and so how do you inform your on-premise, off-premise customers or clients, whatever the term is that you use. So I think that's a really important point because you want to get them to be retrained. And the other part of it, so I just want to ask some basic questions, and I do apologize
Sure.
for that. One, how large is the team?
My team?
Just overall.
210.
210.
210. How many on and off-premise clients?
27,000, right? For that new building.
Yeah. I think it's about 27,000 licensees.
And
Change.
so how do you, I mean, how long does the training last? And how do you schedule all that? How do you do that?
Well, we keep a database, and that database is actually provided through the certification, right?
Okay.
And the database is actually have, emails, it has actually phone numbers and what have you, because when we actually fill out the roster, which you have to pre-register to take the class, we have that information. So we go back to the database and say, well, these folks actually got expired, but it's a lot of work to do that. So we have to call everyone who's actually expired in order for us to actually keep the program, going. So yeah, and it's. But,
and then the other question, given the the employment shortages
Yes,
across all industries.
yes.
Liquor not being an exception. So there's a huge turnover,
Mhm.
right? Huge turnover. How do you keep up with training them and making sure they're up to date?
Well, during the trainings, we actually, it's one of the requirements, and that also depends, that's what Tom was actually alluding, depending upon the villages. You have up to 30 to 60 days for anybody who actually commence employment to take the training. That also depends, like I said, on the villages, but the villages regulates that. So we train everyone, from bartenders to servers to owners, managers, and what have you, because some of the villages mandates that everyone who's actually in contact with the customers selling alcoholic beverages must actually take the basic training. And there's some villages that really do a good job in following up with the licensees and saying, we need to find out prior to renewing your liquor license. We need to find out who's not BASA certified. There's a number of villages that are doing a terrific job.
Schaumburg is actually a model for that.
Schaumburg is a model. Vernon Hills is a model. Also, Hanover Park is becoming a model.
And, Tom, to your point earlier, that you talked about how it's more challenging in terms of the environment, right? The environment, you have cannabis to deal with, you have violence, you have frustration, you have, the pandemic, you have all these different situations that contribute to more of a need to make sure you're on, that you are providing the training. Many years ago, I was in corporate, and training was a big part of what we did.
Absolutely.
On the beers and the liquor side. So you said you work a lot with corporations. How does that work? How does that look today?
Well, I've been doing it for so long that there's always relationships that are created, and work with different corporations, because in some of the villages it's mandated, and in some of the villages are taking the part that online classes are not allowed, because they want an instructor on site to make sure that everybody understands the legalities of the villages. The corporations are actually that I have actually pursued personally are corporations that actually for a long time have been clients of ours, per se, if I can use that term. And they've been with me for the last probably 18 years or so. And they always call, and they know when to call. We have a group of 10, we have a group of 15 that needs to be BASA certified, and we'll come over and do the BASA training on site. We don't do online classes.
Microbreweries.
Yes.
So that's basically on premise, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
They manufacture, they sell their product, they consume their product at the actual location. You train them?
I have in the past. I haven't done it in a long time, but I have in the past. I've actually trained distributors as well. So, yeah.
One note to your answer too, Jordan, we just follow that it's required every 3 years, and a lot of small businesses don't have the cash flow to cover the cost they want to train their staff, so they leave it up to the staff member, let's say bartender or the server, to reach out, and they usually go online, they go to the BASIC website, and they look for us, and they find out how much can it cost. Now, they can afford the travel, and even between both, I'm going out for one person, up to, I've done a session for 100, it varies. But it's so many different dynamics because of the constraints of cost, the constraints of whether the employer is going to provide the training or not, and again, what they do. So it's very interesting. I know Lee is out today, but he'll be able to lead to that. I think Lee gets the most cost, and then he funnels them to us. We find those particulars who need it, but just they can't move from their location, need us to come out. So it varies day to day. Pop up tomorrow for whatever reason, if someone is opening up a new store or a new business and so forth, or a bartender, if she's about to get her first job, they told her before you start, you at least need to get certified, let us know when that certificate is coming in. So it varies.
Right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. Very informational. Thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you.
Sorry, Lee wasn't here for you today.
He's always with us. Needs a phone call. Call me before we can.
I'm glad.
He is the face of the state.
Yes.
He is.
Yeah.
Very proud of him.
I don't tell you that. So.
Thank you so much. I think that's, I listened to the presentation that you had given in April, and I heard the concerns that you had, and so I really wanted to schedule you guys for today, and thank you very much. We appreciate it, all the information. Moving on, item number 6, public comment. Are there any members of the board, of the public rather, who would care to address the board at this time? If it appears that are none. At this time, the commission will adjourn to executive session. The executive session is closed to the public. The commission is entering executive session for the purpose of discussing testimony and evidence presented in the hearing. This is authorized pursuant to section 2C and sections 1 and 4 of the Open Meetings Act. Members of the public will no longer be able to see and hear the meeting, but the meeting will not end. Upon conclusion of the meeting, we will return to the regular meeting, which is open to the public. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second. Secretary Pierce, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Sanchez.
Yes.
And Chair Bird.
Yes. Motion carries. Back in regular session, item number 8, appeals. In the matter of 20 APP 17 Sticks Tavern Incorporated versus the City of Carbondale, do I have a motion to affirm the decision of the local commissioner?
So moved.
Second. Properly moved and seconded. Secretary Pierce, can you please call that roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Sanchez.
Yes.
And Chair Bird.
Yes, motion carries. In the matter of H's Bar versus St. Clair County, do I have a motion to affirm the decision of the local liquor commissioner?
Move to affirm.
Second.
Gentlemen, been properly moved and seconded. Secretary Pierce, can you please call our roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Sanchez.
Yes.
Chair Bird.
Yes, thank you. Motion carries. In the matter of 21 APP 02 Biggs Pajawa versus City of Harvey, do I have a motion to affirm the decision of the local liquor commissioner?
Second.
Seconded. Secretary Pierce, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Sanchez.
Yes.
And Chair Bird.
Yes. Motion carries. Item number 9, in the matter of tax delinquency case C22 CR 0009, Sapporo Tenoshi LLC. We have a motion to affirm or deny the decision of Judge White.
Make a motion to affirm.
Been properly moved and seconded. Secretary Pierce, will you please call the roll?
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Sanchez.
Yes.
Chair Bird.
Yes. And the case, delinquency case of taxes on 22 CR 0003, 2610 restaurant. Do I have a motion to affirm or deny the decision of Judge White?
Chair Berg, I'm sorry to interrupt you. This is actually one where they have come into compliance and paid. So we can
We have
just
good news.
get rid of
The
this
case
one.
is dropped. All righty, so we will have a motion to strike the delinquency
So moved.
case. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Item number 10, receive comments from the board. Does any board member have any comments at this time?
About.
Please put that in the record.
A lot of them. Tom, you have one?
No, I couldn't make.
Gonna hold off. I don't have any other than thanks to the staff for handling that, working on their day off. I don't even call you everyone to take your day off.
It's okay. They answered my call faithfully.
We appreciate, we appreciate you guys. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting of the ILCC?
So moved.
Second. Secretary Pierce, please call the roll.
Commissioner Span Cooper.
Yes.
Commissioner Gibbons.
Yes.
Commissioner LaMalfa.
Yes.
Commissioner Powell.
Yes.
Commissioner Felix Sanchez.
Yes.
Chair Bird.
Yes, motion carries. We are adjourned. Our next meeting, Wednesday the 15th. Mayor Bailey Plaza. Thanks, Sonny. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, happy